you argue in The Housing Boom and Bust that a lot of the thinking that implicitly and in times explicitly underlies the Obama administration's approach to the current economic crisis arises from Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal. And I quote you, the advocates of Obama's policies, quote, cite Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal as a model, close quote. Why? What is it about the New Deal that permits people to cite it as a model with a straight face 8 decades after it was enacted?
Because of the widespread belief that it was the New Deal which saved the country and got us out of the Depression. You
mean it wasn't?
In politics, what matters is not what the facts are. What matters is what people believe, because people vote on the basis of what they believe and not on the basis of what the facts are.
All right. This is, in my judgment, this is critical. This is one of the most important aspects of this marvelous book, The Housing Boom and Bust. You write, Tom, quote, the larger question that remains as relevant as ever, 8 decades after the enactment of the New Deal, was it the failure of the free market that led to the massive unemployment which persisted throughout the 1930s, or was the Great Depression prolonged by the government interventions that were intended to shorten it? Close quote. And your analysis is as follows.
Well, there are a lot of ways of going at this. One is to look at the sequence of events, and
right.
We can look at this sequence. In October 1929, the stock market crashed. 2 months later, unemployment peaked at 9%. Over the next several months, the unemployment began to subside irregularly, down to 6.3% by June of 1930. So 8 months after the stock market crash, we have not yet hit double digits in unemployment. June 1930, when it's 6.3%, the government intervenes the first real intervention on a massive scale under Hoover, the Smoot-Hawley tariffs, which were designed to reduce unemployment by restricting imports in the United States so that more of these goods will be built in the United States by American workers. It sounds good. 1,000 economists from the leading universities around the country signed a public appeal to Congress and the President not to pass this bill, that it would not do what they said it would do. It would not reduce unemployment. It would, in fact, lead to retaliation that would make it harder for Americans to sell their goods in other countries. As often happens, no one paid the slightest attention. The bill was passed, and within 5 months after the bill was passed, we had double-digit unemployment for the first time. This is from a bill designed to lower unemployment. Right. And when it hit, and this time it did not subside. It never fell below double digits for the entire remainder of the decade of the 30s, not even for a single month. Not all of it was the Smoot-Hawley tariff. When FDR came in 33, he then put in the National Industrial Recovery Act. He put in the Agricultural Adjustment Act. He put in the Wagner Act. He issued more presidential executive orders than all subsequent presidents throughout the remainder of the 20th century. So the government intervened on a massive scale, and yet the unemployment never came down below double digits for the entire decade.
So we get the stock market crash. Thomas Sowell, quote, shortly before the Obama administration took office, the man who would become President Obama's chief of staff, Rahm Emanuel, said, quote, you never want a serious crisis to go to waste, close quote. Why do you find that significant?
Because it means that the crisis is presenting them with an opportunity to do things they wouldn't be able to do otherwise. And that's how he sees it. And everything that has happened since the new administration indicates that that's how the administration as a whole sees it.
So the crisis is providing an opportunity for President Obama and his supporters to do what they would have liked to do,
yes,
but would otherwise have been unable to do.
Just as in the case of the New Deal, that the New Dealers, most of the key people in the New Deal, were for big government intervention long before there was a stock market crash. It's just that the stock market crash gave them an opportunity to step in. It's another parallel is that people are talking about all these highly intelligent people with whom the president has surrounded himself. In Washington, FDR surrounded himself with highly intelligent people. That is no guarantee of anything, except brilliant rationalizations for failure in some cases. if you look at the stimulus package, the one thing it has not done is stimulate. Prior to the bailout money for the banks were lending a certain amount. After the bailout money, the banks were lending less. The stimulus means that he's not depending just on the government's own money being spent, producing the result, that this will stimulate others in the economy. It is not. The circulation of money, the speed with which money circulates in the economy, fell to the lowest level in 50 years. It fell during
After the stimulus.
Yes. Business reduced its investment by something like 25 or more percent. So that if you're looking in terms of what actually happens rather than the words that are used, what actually has happened shows no such stimulation as they're talking about.